What is DeepBrain Chain? DeepBrain Chain is the world's solves two major issues. First, DeepBrain Chain can provide AI enterprises globally decentralized high-performance computing power, saving enterprises up to 70% on computing costs. Secondly, DeepBrain Chain uses blockchain technology to really achieve separating AI data ownership and usage rights to better protect enterprises' data privacy and security. On the 12th of July, DeepBrain Chain and Robert Bosch will co-host a meetup in Stuttgart, Germany. Our friends from different industry and community members will join together to discuss the latest trends in AI and blockchain. We'll also learn about interesting business ideas on how to use the power of token economy to disrupt a traditional industry from DeepBrain Chain. You're all welcome to join us in Germany. Just click the link below.
So, hallo everyone, guten Abend, meine Damen und Herren, herzlich willkommen zu dieser Veranstaltung heute. I see some confusing faces. So that was what I imagined a few days ago, as Dashong told me that I should moderate or be the host for tonight. He told me it will be in German, and then I say, German, no problem. I speak German every day. And 10 days later, he told me that we'll be in English. And I say, okay, I hope I don't forget a lot. So here again, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to join AI meets blockchain. I have to check again. DeepBrain Chain, Germany Meetup in Stuttgart. And this event tonight is hosted by DeepBrain Chain and Robert Bosch Venture Capital. And my name is Liu Xuhui, or my English name I have told someone of you, Alan. Maybe that's easier for foreigner friends. It's my great honor to be here tonight and to host this event. And at the beginning, I want to introduce myself a little bit. I studied automotive engineering at the Tsinghua University in Beijing and at the RWTH Aachen University several years ago. And now I'm working as a development engineer and project manager at the company Festo, not so far away from here. Yes, so actually being a host is not my profession, but it's my hobby. And especially today, these very popular topics. Yeah, actually I'm as curious as you about the most popular and hot topics all over the world currently. That is AI and blockchain. And everybody now is talking about these two very hot topics. What is AI and what is blockchain? How will AI change our life? How will AI disrupt the industry? And what will happen if AI meets blockchain? I think that's the reason why we are here today. And I cannot wait to learn more about this topic together with you. And let me introduce our two event organizers very briefly. DeepBrain Chain, I think you have also seen also from the advertisement of this event tonight. DeepBrain Chain is the world's first AI computing platform driven by blockchain. Its vision is to build a decentralized AI cloud computing platform and become the AWS in AI. It's committed to becoming the world's largest decentralized AI computing platform to provide high-performance computing power and data privacy protection for AI companies and all users with AI needs. Sorry. And Robert Bosch Venture Capital, or shortly RBVC, is the corporate venture company of the Robert Bosch one of the largest private companies worldwide with more than 70 billion euros sales. And now please allow me to introduce the honored guests tonight. Mr. Xiu Chunming, Consul of the Consulate General of the People's Republic of China in Frankfurt am Main, but he is now in the train and will be a little bit later here. But I think for the friends who live in Germany, we know that the ICE or the trains are not always in time or on time in Germany. So he will come later. And Mr. Li Chuanfeng, Chief Marketing Officer of DeepBrain Chain. Welcome. Dr. Wang Dongyan, Chief AI Officer, Executive Vice President of DeepBrain Chain Silicon Valley AI plus Blockchain Research Center. Dr. Jiang Hongquan, Partner of RBVC, Chief AI Consultant of DeepBrain Chain. Welcome. Dr. Ingo Ramazol, Managing Director of RBVC. Welcome. Mr. Peter Busch, Automotive Lead, Distributed Ledger Technologies at Bosch. Welcome. Ms. Jane Wang, Chief Marketing Officer of OneGame. I think she maybe is also in the train. Yes. And Mr. Zhou Dashuang, President of Chinese Scholars and Students Association in Stuttgart. Welcome. And also very warm welcome to all of you today in this room, the representatives from famous European car automakers and the high-performance computing center at University of Stuttgart. And from German universities, I have seen also several students here, and from research institutes. Glad to meet you here. Tonight, after several interesting speeches, there will be a panel discussion at the end, and yeah, at the end of this event, we welcome you to join the networking dinner, and hope you all enjoy this evening like me. By the way, our event tonight will be live streamed on YouTube, so you can tell your friends or colleagues who are not able to be here today to watch us on YouTube. So I want to also say hello to our audience in front of YouTube. Hello, I don't know if you see me. If yes, I cannot hear you. Maybe the technology in the future can realize this interaction between here and in front of the Bildschirm, the screen. Thanks. That's the problem. If we live too long in Germany, I will forget some English words or even Chinese words, so forgive me. And DeepBrain Chain has also prepared some free gifts for us today. Some nice T-shirts and new disc. And to win the gifts, you just have to follow Twitter, or I know not a lot of people here in Germany use Twitter, but Facebook. So you can follow Twitter or Facebook of the account of DeepBrain Chain, and post our Meetup meeting tonight on Twitter or Facebook, including a hashtag DBC Germany Meetup, and mention DeepBrain Chain. If you show this post to our staffs, you will get the gift from our staff. And firstly, Mr. Xu is not yet here, so I will postpone his speech later. But now let's welcome Dr. Jiang Hongquan, Partner of RBVC, Chief AI Consultant of DeepBrain Chain, to give a deeper introduction of our event tonight. Welcome, Dr. Jiang.
Hello? Yeah, that's all. Great. Thank you, Alan, for the introduction. Also, a warm welcome from me and to the interesting event, AI meet blockchain. So the two mega trends is meeting together, and what is the bridge between these two topics? I'm quite curious. I would like to understand after this event what we are going to learn. First of all, we are going to talk about AI. AI, all of us know that this is going to change and transform the society in the decades to come, right? So we'll talk about that. But we are also going to talk about what are the challenges, what are the bottlenecks of AI, and what can we do to overcome all of these difficulties. So, and what blockchain can do to help. So we hope that we will get some answer from DeepBrain Chain people, but also from our Bosch colleagues. Secondly, we are going to talk about blockchain, obviously. And I can remember that maybe 1 year ago, if people talk about blockchain, then the debate was rather, is this a hype? Is this a bubble? Is this going to sustain? And or this is something is going to disappear, right? So I think today we're thinking maybe differently about that. I would be interested to hear in this audience, in this room, so who of you would think that blockchain is going to disappear in several years? Please raise your hand. Well, we have one. That's great, that's great. So yeah, indeed, I think this is no more the question anymore. So the question is really when and what for. So when the use cases, the applications, the killer applications will happen. And I think this is a very interesting topic, and we are going to hear the perspective from startups and from a big corporate like Bosch today. And last but not least, business model. Business model, I think, will play a central role in blockchain technology. So blockchain and distributed ledger rely on community. So we have a lot of community guests here. Community and ecosystems. So business model based on community and ecosystem building, I think could be the key of the success. So we will learn about this also from our friend from DeepBrain Chain. Another aspect is token economy, ICOs. I don't think people here would think this is evil, but how ICOs and tokens could accelerate the business adoption. So this is another topic we're going to touch today. So this is a bunch of interesting stuff, and we have a fully packed 2 hours in front of us. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. But this is just the first part of the event. So we do our networking event, as Alan told us. The second part is equally important and maybe more important. So drinks, food, and networking. So let's stay together and have fun, right? Very important. Before we jump into our program, I would like to show you 2 pictures, just as a teaser for today's event. Not this one. Yes. So you see an autonomous driving car. So this type of car is going to become reality very, very soon. So what we can see here is in the car, you have hundreds of sensors. You have multiple LiDAR, radars, and cameras, right? And in order to calculate all the information, you have a very, very powerful computer in the car. And you have most sophisticated AI model in the car. So we are talking about in 2030, so a little bit more than 10 years ahead, we will have about 50 million such kind of cars on the street. And we call this data center on wheels. This is true because the computation power of such cars is comparable to a server in the data center today. So meaning if you think about 50 million, this is a huge number. So the computation power in the car in the near future will surpass the computation power in the cloud. So this is what is going to happen. Right. Second picture, Internet of Things. This is our view and our understanding of Internet of Things. So we have a broad view. What does it mean? We're talking about smart industry, we're talking about smart mobility, smart energy, smart home and city. So actually it's covering the entire living space and entire world. And the foundation for Internet of Things are the smart devices. So we will have billions and billions of smart devices being connected, collecting data and calculating, doing AI. So we see another driver of a major transition, and we call it actually decentralization of intelligence. So I think these are two pictures you should keep in mind before we jump into our program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zhang. As a student before who studied automotive engineering and also worked about for 1 year for Daimler, I'm also very curious about how AI will change automotive industry. I think autonomous driving and so on is also a very important topic in the future. Now the train arrived. And so just now I've also introduced to our audience here. And now I would like to welcome, a very warm welcome to Mr. Consul Xiu Chunming from Consul of the Consulate General of People's Republic of China in Frankfurt am Main. And he will give us a short warm welcome speech in German, I think. Okay, so it's good news for students who or people who live in Germany, but I don't know whether there is some translation or but I think we will see. I think you will see that language everywhere is the same. And so now warm welcome to Mr. Consul Xiu to give a short speech.
好，谢谢大家。今天本来是可以准点到的，4点半到。So, eigentlich können wir pünktlich hier ankommen, um 16:35 Uhr. Aber ja, die Verspätung ist die Tugend von Deutscher Bahn jetzt. Das war schon anders als vor 15 Jahren. Ja. Okay, meine Damen und Herren, ja, es ist mir eine große Freude, heute mit Ihnen gemeinsam an der Veranstaltung hier beteiligen zu können. Zuerst möchte ich im Namen des chinesischen Generalkonsulats in Frankfurt alle Gäste herzlich begrüßen. Was die Inhalte heute betrifft, ist für mich ein reiner fremder Begriff. Sie sind technisch so fortschrittlich und übertreten mein Verständnis mit geisteswissenschaftlichem Hintergrund. Aber ich gehe davon aus, dass diese Veranstaltung eine Bühne für Fachleute und Studierende relevante Studiengänge darstellt. Demnächst haben wir schon etwas Schönes gesehen und gehört, können wir auch sehr spannende und professionelle Reden und Berichte hören. Und sie werden uns allen sicher gute Anregungen bringen. China und Deutschland haben vor 46 Jahren diplomatische Beziehungen aufgenommen. Seitdem erweiterte und vertiefte sich unsere Zusammenarbeit in Bereichen wie Politik, Wirtschaft, Kultur, Bildung und Forschung ständig. Auch Austausch und Zusammenarbeit zwischen Hochschulen beider Länder haben viele Früchte getragen. Ich bin persönlich Konsul für Bildung und mein Kollege Frau Li Wen ist für Kultur. Und das gute Ansehen der deutschen Hochschulen haben viele chinesische Studenten zu einem Studium hierher angezogen. In Stuttgart sind ungefähr noch 1300 junge chinesische Studierende und Wissenschaftler. Das ist auch ein gutes Beispiel dafür, dass Stuttgart und Baden-Württemberg besonders attraktiv sind. Aber am Anfang sind das Leben und Studieren in Deutschland nicht so einfach. Glücklicherweise haben wir hier den Verein chinesischer Studierende und Wissenschaftler in Stuttgart. Die haben viel Unterstützung inzwischen für Studienanfänger aus China immer angeboten. Und der Verein organisiert viele Veranstaltungen wie Frühlingsfestfeier, bunte Integrationsprogramme für neu angekommene Studierende, Sportveranstaltungen, Ausflüge, auch viele Austauschprogramme wie die von heute. An dieser Stelle möchte ich dem Verein und der Leitung, besonders von Herrn Zhou und alle Mitglieder natürlich des Vereins meine Dankbarkeit aussprechen. Sie haben mit ihrem Engagement eine Brücke für Studierende und deutsche Unternehmen gebaut. Meine Damen und Herren, ein chinesisches Sprichwort lautet: einmal sehen ist besser als 100 Mal hören. Wegen der geografischen Entfernung und des schweren Verkehrs waren vom 17. oder vom 16. Jahrhundert immer bis Anfang bis 50er Jahre des letzten Jahrhunderts waren direkte Kontaktmöglichkeiten zwischen beiden Ländern immer begrenzt. Deshalb war das damalige China-Bild von vielen Missverständnissen und Vorurteilen begleitet. Heute, dank des schnellen Verkehrsnetzwerks und vielfältiger Kommunikationsmöglichkeiten, ist der heute Veranstaltung auch direkt ausgetragen oder gestrahlt. Dadurch können wir viel direkter einander kennenlernen. Ein Intellektueller von Deutschland, Leibniz, hat einmal gesagt, die chinesische und die westliche Kultur sollten voneinander lernen und mit einer Laterne die andere beleuchten. Die Grundlage der zwischenstaatlichen Beziehungen ist die Freundschaft zwischen Völkern. Es ist mir ganz sicher, mit Intensivierung des Austausches auf allen Bereichen wird der Kontakt zwischen unseren beiden Ländern auch immer enger. Die Freundschaft zwischen China und Deutschland wird immer mehr Früchte tragen. Deshalb bin ich überzeugt, dass immer mehr Leute durch die Plattform der Verein chinesischer Wissenschaftler und Studierende in Stuttgart und dank der großzügigen Unterstützung von Bosch und vielen anderen Unternehmen die Möglichkeit haben, Kooperieren zu realisieren. Ich wünsche, dass Bosch und DeepBrain Chain in Shanghai in vielen Bereichen vertieft kooperieren wird. Der chinesische Generalkonsulat in Frankfurt schätzt solche Zusammenarbeit sehr und auch ist bereit, Ihnen beim weiteren Aufbau des China- bzw. Deutschland-Kontakte beizustehen. Wilhelm von Humboldt, ein großer deutscher Name unter den chinesischen Intellektuellen, hat einmal auch gesagt, gemeinsam sind wir stark. Gemeinsam können wir das Schöne aufbauen und gestalten. Zum Schluss wünsche ich Ihnen allen weiterhin viel Erfolg, einen schönen Nachmittag. Vielen Dank.
So what about the German course? The German lesson? I think I've also I also see some confused faces and some relaxed faces here. I have a normal brain, but not a deep brain. So I would like to translate all of the sentences for you, but I cannot because a normal brain, not a deep brain. But what I understood from your speech, thank you very much, two important sentences that I have understood. The first one is that the consulate of people, I have to pay attention to the name. The consulate will support the cooperation between DeepBrain Chain and RBVC, and the cooperation between Germany and China will certainly be better and better in the future. And yeah, the second one is that the German train is not always punctual. That's what we all knew, but it's just a joke. So we can see that German can also learn something from China. China can also learn something from Germany. And tonight is a very good example for both sides to communicate with each other and to cooperate with each other. So the next presenter will be Dr. Ingo Ramazol, Managing Director of RBVC, and he will give more introduction about Robert Bosch Venture Capital and also a short welcome speech. Welcome, Dr. Ramazol.
Thanks, Alan. Yeah, also from my side, I would like to give you a very warm welcome to this kind of new event. We call it RBVC and Friends, and this time we have a special friend, DeepBrain Chain, as our guest. And the event is based on the participation. It depends a lot on the participation and the community and the ecosystem. And therefore, give me just a minute to welcome the guests from the other companies, from the corporates. And maybe I forget some guests, then please excuse myself. So we have guests here today from many companies. We have guests here from Cisco, from Volkswagen, from Porsche, from Mahle, from BMW, from Daimler, from Vector, ENBV. We have guests from Plug and Play, Startup Autobahn, Intel Capital, Telekom, BASF, Siemens, Merck Ventures, Börse Stuttgart, Deutsche Bahn, Vito Ventures, and a lot of guests from Bosch. Yeah, so thank you very much for coming, and this is a key enabler for a good event and discussion. Thank you. So if you are an investor, you might be curious if you hear AI and blockchain in one word. If this comes from a startup, you might think this might be a very desperate startup because they need money, yeah, because they need buzzwords. That these two buzzwords have a meaning with each other, I would like briefly to explain. And what is the role of Robert Bosch Venture Capital in this game? I would briefly show you some of our investments. This is not our complete portfolio, but some of these investments are quite related to this topic. They have one in common, so they are all more or less related to artificial intelligence, and also some for blockchain. And there will be a lot of new investments coming up. Yeah, and all these companies, we have a minority share investments done already from Bosch Venture Capital. IOTA might be known as the blockchain company from Germany. We have done more videos with a low power visual graphic processor, which was sold to Intel 2 years ago. There's an interesting application from Automotive. Automotive is doing a camera for retina analysis, and they send the pictures from your eye to the cloud, and there is an AI analysis done. And this will basically eliminate the blindness caused by diabetes type 2 patients in the world. We have a company called Automotive. Artificial intelligence is already in the name, so Automotive is doing software for autonomous driving, mainly based on visual systems. We have a company called Foghorn in Silicon Valley. Foghorn is doing edge analytics, and they're also using AI to analyze the data on the edge. We have a company called GraphCore in our portfolio from UK. GraphCore is doing an intelligent processor unit which is optimized for AI routines. So the chip will come out very soon, and it will outperform most of the cloud-based chips you know today. We have a company called Security Matters. It's an AI-based cyber resilience for industrial applications for critical infrastructures. We have Allegro from Israel. Allegro is doing an AI platform where you can develop your own AI tools. And last but not least, we have Sensoro. Sensoro is an IoT provider located in China, which recently came out with an AI-based camera. So you see, we are investing a lot in this area, and there are many more activities to come. Let me show you one slide of RBVC. So we are the venture arm of Robert Bosch GmbH. We have about 420 million in 3 different funds. We have done more than 60 investments, recently opened an office in Shanghai. So there is a good alliance and communication with China. We have done more than 10 exits, and we do see a lot of deals, so more than 2,500, and we are also quite picky in our investments, and there are new investments to come also this year. So you can see us as a partner, as a player in the ecosystem. We try to cooperate with the startups. We try to invest into the startups. We try to build up ecosystems. Yeah, and therefore I'm very happy that we have so many people from different companies, from different systems today here. And I hope we learn today why blockchain and AI is in one sentence. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Ramazol. Yeah, also very interesting for me to see what RBVC do or is doing now. A lot of investment and support a lot of startups, and I'm sure that in the future. Sorry, wait a moment. Okay. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, there must be some very great companies among those startups today. The next speech will be given by Dr. Wang Dongyan. He is the Chief AI Officer, Executive Vice President of DeepBrain Chain, Silicon Valley AI and Blockchain Research Center. His speech with the topic, Decentralized AI Cloud in the AI and Blockchain Era. Welcome, Dr. Wang.
Thank you, Alan, and welcome everybody here. I guess I need to thank you for the opportunity for everybody, and especially Bosch and the local host, to give us the opportunity to introduce our project. Over the last few days here in Germany, we have met quite a few universities and startups and AI companies here in Stuttgart, in Frankfurt, and Munich. We actually traveled a lot of miles in the last few days, and the interesting thing and exciting thing is really all the feedback we got from the people we met. They are all very excited about our vision, and they think it's a very different way of doing AI, using the blockchain technology as an enabler. So I hope I can give you a brief introduction based on the time here about our company, and definitely we can have the time to discuss more in the network session. So over the last 20 years, we believe there are 3 fundamental trends has disrupt or will disrupt the whole industry across the industries. One is very, very well known, is back to the 2000s, we have the internet age, right? So internet have changed everything. And then recent 2 years, we have AI and the blockchain really emerging. I think there's no question there's no doubt about AI trend. It's going to be a mega trend for the next 15 to 20 years. We're in the infancy stage of that. Even that, we are already seeing a lot of hot interest and a huge demand. And the blockchain, I think like Dr. Jiang said just earlier, if you talk to people earlier last year, people may have a lot of doubt of blockchain. And after the whole last year, even the bull market and bear market and all those different cycles, but people realize the technology of blockchain is going to be a fundamental disruptor. And looking back a little bit to the last internet trend, I think when we come to 99, 98, or 2000, or even in Silicon Valley or in Germany here, nobody would have predicted how internet will fundamentally change the industry, the enterprises, or even a normal consumer's life. For example, if you think today, the Ubers, the way we do e-commerce, the way we do enterprise IT, all fundamentally changed by the internet. But back 20 years ago, 18 years ago, we think internet, oh, that's just a technology going to use TCP/IP or HTTP to connect all the applications together, and people don't realize. I mean, the boldest idea, one of them is, okay, I can buy books online from Amazon, right? That was one of the bold ideas, but now you look at Amazon, it's very different from the past. My point is, when we look at AI or blockchain 10 years, 20 years, or even 5 years from now, the application enabled by AI and blockchain is going to be very different, very, very dramatically different. So think of a few examples. Today, Uber is great, right? All the sharing. Okay, taxi companies used to charge 70% as a middleman. Now Uber charges 30%, right? It's still a centralized solution. But think about a future blockchain-based ride-sharing application on a blockchain. If you're a driver, you offer your car. I'm a consumer, I need a car. We negotiate on the blockchain directly based on the decentralized approach, based on smart contract. There's no need of a middleman like Uber anymore, right? So that will happen not overnight, it will happen gradually, but that will be a fundamental change. Another example, I go to a bank, I deposit my money, I get 0.1% in the US these days. I don't know how much the German banks will pay you for interest. My friend goes to the same bank and try to get a mortgage and got charged 6% or 5% of the mortgage. The only reason is because I don't trust my friend to lend money directly to him, right? We all trust the bank. That's why we pay the bank a hefty 5 to 6% for their profit. Well, there are a lot of discussion right now already. If I can build a trust system on the blockchain, I'm either small amount or large amount of money, we can directly link the consumer and the fund provider, then that will reduce another middleman. Another example, e-commerce. We all think e-commerce is great. I go to Alibaba or I go to Amazon to buy the merchandise. Well, guys, if you understand Alibaba's business model, Alibaba does not sell or buy anything. They offer a platform to do advertisements. The third-party people come to Alibaba, the Taobao or Tmall to sell things, and you buy things, and Alibaba take a huge profit, more than Amazon. Well, if I can buy things directly from the people who sell it, and if there is a credible way for me to build that trust, I don't need a middleman like a platform to operating my e-commerce store, right? You begin to see a lot of startups begin to do that in the e-commerce space. Content consuming. A lot of content companies begin to, today, if you are a publisher, either music or books or any content, you have to go through the cycle of have people to discover you as a star. You have to pay all the royalties. You have to pay a lot of middleman cost before those people will dictate, can you be successful or not? Are you a good artist or not? Is your product really worth anything? Not the consumers. That's how it works today. Then you see a lot of content, the blockchain company begin to come up to really help the small artists get discovered by the audience, right, and have their value being realized. So that's another thing. So any model today we're experiencing has a centralized solution, has a middleman person to take profit, is going to be fundamentally disrupted by the blockchain. And that's where we are saying, as a DeepBrain Chain, we are targeting one of the area in this major trend is the AI cloud market. We call it the decentralized AI cloud, which I'll get into. So we mentioned about AI. I think I don't need to talk too much about the AI in this slide. There's a huge market. We are only the starting point of that. My my half joke and my statement has always been today's AI is like 3-year-old intelligence. So the 3 years old, what the 3 years can do, it can recognize this is apple, this is a pear, right? And it can talk language, can understand language. That's the basic things AI can do today, right? Actually not very well yet. It cannot really do the more advanced things. For example, a 40 years old doctor can diagnose, what disease do you have, because that not only require data, but also require a lot of experience, right? We're in the infancy stage, but it's already beginning to penetrate everywhere. Because if you go to countries, a lot of, especially emerging countries like China, for example, you can see the adoption rate of AI actually is much faster even than US or probably than European countries in certain areas. So, for example, a lot of the retail stores in China already begin to heavily implement face recognition. You go to the store, they already know who you are, what have you purchased before, and begin to make you recommendations. This is not test bed anymore. This is actually really happening. In my past company, my dear group, the second largest consumer electronics company in the world, also a partner of Bosch actually, the retail stores are already being released out with this kind of technology, right? Alibaba has this kind of stores as well. Voice recognition, your phone, Google Voice, Siri, all have this kind of capabilities. Not very advanced, not very useful yet, because, like I said earlier, general intelligence does not work that well. But for certain areas, if I'm talking about a call center, which specializes in e-commerce, for example, think about a call center like that. 80% of the calls coming in is asking, okay, where's my order? Is that shipped, right? Very repetitive patterns. You can have a robot basically to listen in or doing the chatbot to really do the automatic response. Those kind of AI applications we have personally built in the past, it reduced a call center, a mature call center from 9,000 people to 5,000 people, basically over a year time frame, right? Because the robot really can do those. However, if we're talking about a Bosch, for example, Bosch has a home appliance division and like a refrigerator, right? People call in to say, my refrigerator is broken. That is not very good or well handled by an AI agent right now, because when the refrigerator is broken, it could be all kinds of special reasons. My point is, for AI to be successful, it has to be in a special, narrow band of applications, right? General intelligence for Siri to understand everything you're talking about, can provide an answer that does not work that well, but if you can narrow down that to a closed domain, it works very, very well. Right? Tesla is on the road, a few 100,000 cars on the road already doing autonomous driving, right? They produced 5,000, finally achieved the 5,000 cars, Model 3 by, I think, 2 weeks ago, right? So you can see a lot of these cars, a lot of German companies are also working, making great progress in this. So huge market in the AI side. But let's look behind the scene. How does an AI company doing AI development today? And like I said, I believe this is not going to be all major companies or big companies. There's going to be a lot of the smaller companies or medium-sized companies. If you believe AI is going to penetrate more and more into our normal life. I think my prediction will be, if you are a business, you don't adopt AI in a certain way, you will be put out of business in the next 5 to 10 years, because you cannot reduce your cost and you cannot really collect data and then do intelligent things on top of data. So that's why we're saying the AI development burden is going to be a huge burden for everybody. But let's look at how AI development work is done today. First, a company want to do AI development work, they have to go buy expensive AI servers. This typically today is GPU computing power. A lot of those are based on NVIDIA GPUs. The reason is because this round of AI emergence is based on technology called deep learning. It's basically to train large set of neural network using large amount of data, on large amount of computing power, GPU power. That's why if you everybody is doing stock here, you track the AI stage, you know NVIDIA stock has been doing incredibly well, right? From $20, $30 a couple years ago to now $250, a share. So it has increased dramatically because people are buying the GPU computing power like crazy. So once you buy this computing power, normally like you need to do a reasonable good work for deep learning. You need like at least 4 GPU or 8 GPU machines, depending on data. And some of the large companies have 128 GPUs, 64 GPU clusters, so they can do training. For autonomous driving, I mean, most of them you need to have that kind of scale to train a successful neural network and train them fast enough for you to iterate, because a lot of these neural networks that are large, if you train one time, you're not going to have the optimal results. You have to iterate many, many times. And each training can cost you days or weeks. So if you think about iteration, this can cost you months, if not more than a few years of effort to develop a large, complex AI application. Right? So once you have the hardware, you also have to have the software set up. This is software environment. The people in the AI space, you heard about the Google TensorFlow, PyTorch, Caffe, those kind of popular AI training frameworks. You have to install them. You have to bear with those immature, fast-evolving software products. They normally come with a lot of third-party packages, and those packages you have to emerging very well. And somebody may develop a new toolkit or two, and you have to install. You have to figure out all the version compatible. It's a very painful and massive work actually to have the software environment set up. So that's a software and the label cost. And then only after you have the software environment, you can begin training and iterate. And if you are lucky enough, your team will develop some results, will result in some real application rather than just some research results you publish a paper and put on the shelf. Right? So it's a very lengthy process. It's very costly. There are stats saying for most of the AI companies, 30 to 40% of their cost is spending on computing power, purchasing computing power. The joke in the Silicon Valley is all the autonomous driving companies, the new startups or AI companies, they're racing to develop the product before they can spend all the money, purchasing computing power, because it's a game you have to balance. Right? You need computing power to do a good model, but they're very, very costly. So very significant cost and a very long time. I use analogy on this, often to help people to understand this. Imagine, we all want a car, right? We were riding horses before, and we now want to have a car, and everybody want to have a car. So I want to have a car to do applications. For example, go shopping, go vacation, go to work. But everybody now is forced to do is go to buy motors, or batteries, try to assemble a car together. That's the AI servers. I'm forced to buy the hardware, and then I have to develop my own voice AI, kind of autonomous driving software, or assemble that together. So I'm forced to build a car, reinvent the wheel, both hardware and software, and only after that I can do the applications. What we believe we can provide the value is we can do the best work to provide people the hardware, the computing power, over a decentralized AI cloud at a lower cost. Right? I'll explain how we do that later. And also that will come with the turnkey software. You can already just a few clicks, you can get the AI software environment, and you can start training right away. Right? And we will provide you even out of the box of data sets, especially public data sets, and also out of box models. So we want to dramatically improve the time to market and reduce the cost for normal companies developing AI applications. That's where we are coming from. So you look back, AI has a huge industry and has a real pain point. This is a real pain point for every single AI company. So our company's position is trying to solve this real pain point in a large and fast-growing industry. So that's where the decentralized AI cloud proposal comes from. And we want to use the blockchain technology to enable that. So I mentioned this quite a bit already, so I'm not going to reiterate except one point, is to do deep learning, to do deep AI, there's 3 essential components: computing power, data, and a model. Right? So you need to have a computing power to train a large set of neural network and the models, right, and using the data. So our DeepBrain Chain network not only will provide you the computing power, but we will also provide you the data provided by other people or models provided by other people. So let me explain a little bit on that. Once you spend 30 to 40% of your cost on your budget on an AI project on computing power, the next leg of the spending is normally on data. Acquiring data, labeling, annotating data, and then build an AI data set, and then use that for your training. So that normally costs a lot of money, and can hire third-party data service companies to hire them to do the data labeling for you, but that costs a lot of money as well. And you also will face the risk that company you are hiring may sell your data to other people without your consent, and that happens. And I have personally experienced that before, because there's no proof I can prove the company have done that, but my data set is circulating in the market afterwards. And that's why data set is also expensive, because some people sell the data set almost with the assumption I can only sell my data set one time, because the second time nobody's going to buy them anymore. They are going to be circulating on the internet, right? The risk of that is the data service companies, they will have your full data set, and you have the higher risk. On DeepBrain Chain ecosystem, what we do is we will decentralize the network. So we actually decentralize the data set into very, very tiny pieces, and then have our community members, certified community members, to help to label and annotate and cleanse the data for you. But each person, will track the performance and review, and they have DBC tokens, which is our token, public traded. They have to put deposit. If they don't do a good job or they really do anything funky, their deposit will be revoked. But the loss will be very limited, because each one of them will do very tiny set of data set. Nobody will have your full data set. And these community members, they are normally using their leisure time to do this kind of work, like data labeling or kind of annotation. So for them to get our token rewards is because they believe in the future of DBC. They want to get some rewards. But for them, this is a leisure work. So they charge very, very economic price, rather than the data service company. Not only they charge you full price of the labor, but they also want to charge a profit, right? So we can greatly reduce the cost of the data preparation work. The last one is models. If you go to any AI conference, I think the joke I have is you have a lot of young kids, students, researchers come to the AI conference, publish papers, right? If you go to any of the NIPS, CVPR, computer vision and pattern recognition conferences, all these young kids are competing and they're publishing papers, and their code is in the GitHub. On the other side, you have all these booths of high-tech companies from Tesla, from Apple, from Google. They have typically two types of people. One is the HR people, try to hire people, right? The other type of people is engineers looking for which are the good papers they can use, and they go to GitHub, download the code, they modify the code, and put it into their products, right? So the people who develop the models typically does not get any reward other than the fame of, I published a paper, right? So what we want to change is really for the models, we want to encrypt them using the blockchain technology and offer to people to use those models, and will offer them reward for pay-per-use, right? So that we believe will encourage more people to develop good models, right? We will encourage people to develop good data sets, because they know their data, their IP is going to be protected, and they will be utilized, and every time they get token rewards back when their good job and got utilized. We believe that's a good incentive for people to join the ecosystem. So in summary, if you look at our ecosystem, what we're trying to do is really having the three components connected: the data, the model, and the computing power. And on each dimension of that, we hope to reduce the cost of those work and encourage more people to join the ecosystem, and they get incentives. As great as if they are the past trend, they're not. They're still very hot. However, the form we are knowing today is going to change dramatically, because a lot of the traditional AI cloud providers are trying to get into the AI cloud market, right? Why? Because there's a huge demand and the growth of it. I'm going to quote two pieces of data here. One is from MIT Technology Review, basically saying the AI cloud market is going to be doubling the traditional cloud market of $260 billion. So that means the AI cloud market is going to be $520 billion worth of market, a huge market. And the second one is from OpenAI. As you know, OpenAI is an organization founded by a lot of the AI veterans and visionaries like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and all those people. And basically they are saying this report from May is from 2012 to now. In a short 5 to 6 years, the AI computing power has increased 300,000 times. It's an amazing number. It basically doubled every 3.5 months, which is much, much faster than the Moore's law dictates. Normally we say, hey, things double like 12 months to 18 months, but the AI computing power is doubling. As we said earlier, we all believe AI is still in the infancy stage. Right? So playing into the AI infrastructure market, but not by owning a fixed asset of data center, infrastructures, using the blockchain technology to enable people to buy servers, join to our ecosystem, get the incentives, and we can focus on software development. That leads us to believe we can build a software company, using AI blockchain technology to build this decentralized AI cloud. So we're not going to be limited by the boundary of one data center or one company like Amazon or Google, right? We're going to connect all the computing power across the world, not only a company, but also could be from individuals, right? Everybody know here about Bitcoin mining, I'm sure, after the last year, right? If people don't know Bitcoin, now after 1 year, I already know Bitcoin. So a lot of people buy machines and they mine Bitcoins. The funny thing is a lot of people buy those machines that they never see the machines or touch the machines. The machine is bought, I paid, and they got shipped to some mining pool, some data centers, and then they're mining the Bitcoins and coming back to my account, right? Similar concept here. The reason people buying those machines because incentive, because when they mine the Bitcoin, they either believe they can get a nice margin right now, like in a bear market of crypto market, they can still get a nice profit of 10–20%, or they believe in the huge appreciation future of a Bitcoin. Let's say a few years ago, right? People mine Bitcoins at a loss back then, but Bitcoin was like $10, $100, but now it's like $6,000, right? So they believe if I mine a coin, accumulate a coin in the future, I believe in this ecosystem, right? I will get a handsome return. So those are all based on incentives. People buy machines to mine Bitcoins because there are incentives. And same thing for our ecosystem as well. People buy our GPU computing power machines with incentives that they will get a nice return and they will get value. And then meanwhile, those computing power plug into our ecosystem become the best computing power for our customers, like AI companies, right? On the other side, of course, we welcome existing GPU power owners. They can come in, they can link their GPU computing power into our ecosystem. So there's a good example of here, even for a company like Bosch or like my dear group of Fortune 500 companies doing AI. I'm sure your team will often face a situation like this. Let's say I'm assuming I'm doing autonomous driving. I have 2 large machines Bosch investing in, right, to do autonomous driving. Each of them has 128 GPUs, $1 to $2 million each. I have them. I think, gosh, I'm set to do AI. And then when the project is busy, your team will be fighting to say, okay, I don't get enough. I'm in the queue. I'm waiting to get the computing power to do my stuff, right? When the project is not busy, one of your machine may be totally idling, but still consuming 400, 500, kilowatts of electricity every day and costing dollars, right? So there is a lot of resource waste here among the companies because those resources are separate between the walls. If you connect them together, if I need more, I can go to a DBC system, for example, to grab more computing power for me to use and pay per use. If I have idle resources, I can have 50% of my server kind of offered up to the ecosystem. I can get token rewards back for me to make the resource available, right? So like Uber example, Uber is not the best example, but anytime you have sharing of resources, you make the resources more efficient and cheaper, right? So that's the fundamental idea for us as well. So once we have the ecosystem, we connect those 3 components together, data, computing power, and models, and then we use that to build applications. Our hope is by attracting GPU computing powers, not only the machines we are going to sell, you can see later, but also the people already have machines contributing, join our network. We are going to have tens of thousands of GPUs pretty soon. I will say in the next 2 to 3 quarters, we will have that power. And that will put us among one of the few companies having that much of GPU computing power, and will make them available to AI companies at a much lower cost. Because of why? Just like Bitcoin mining, there's a mining concept here. If I bought a machine of 8 GPU and joined the DBC network, actually 70% of my cost will be compensated by the tokens I'm mining. So I'm only charging my customers 30% of the cost, where I'm happy. If I'm a cloud provider, I have to charge, I bought all those servers, right? I have to charge the full cost plus my nice profit, probably 30 to 40%, right? Or even 10%, so I'm charging much more. That's why we can offer the computing power at a much lower cost to our customers. And on top of that, we are going to build applications, AI applications, and there are the purpose is twofold here. One is by building these applications, it will really help us to land the applications and generate profit in our business model, but also will help to validate our requirements of the platform. So we're eating our own dog food, with that per se. And the applications, we are focusing the three areas. One is smart manufacturing. Now in Germany, I think people appreciate the value and the importance of smart manufacturing and how AI is going to be utilized in that. I will talk a little bit more on that. And by the way, today's meetup is the first time we ever announced we are going to get into this space. So we believe we have very, very good solution in this. If you go back to the last quarter's meetup we had in South Korea, you will see the same slide. You will see a secret app there to be announced later. So today, we give this announcement to the German audience. And the second one is the data analytics, and the third one is a natural language processing. So this is natural language processing not only for voice interaction, but also for chatbot. So you look at all these three applications, the common theme is they all have relatively mature technology from an AI perspective. They all have very, very large market and use cases. And so that's why we believe we can build these applications using the low cost of computing power and data and models on DBC platform, and also showcase this is a new way to develop AI applications. So in summary about our platform, we can offer computing power or even data at 70% less of the cost. That's enabled by token economy, by mining, and also by leveraging and sharing of all these resources distributed across the world. Keep in mind, a lot of these resources could be idling resources. People are not getting any paid right now. I'll give you two examples. One of the partner companies we're discussing is running a gaming cloud. So they have a lot of GPUs, and the funny thing of a gaming cloud is people only play games during the night. During the day, those GPUs are running idle. So they are more than happy to offer their GPUs out to get DBC mining returns back and make those resources available to AI companies. Think about it, it's a huge waste of those GPU powers just sitting there idling, where we are renting from AWS or other companies for huge cost, right? So the other side, like I mentioned, we hope to people can come to our network to say, hey, here is a computing power available either in the cloud or in the fog or even next to you, maybe next door data center, right? Very secure, caged. There's a server there I can leverage, so I can ensure the data security and privacy. And there are some young kid develop a very good model. Somebody have a public data set and have my data set. I can combine them together. I can train the application together. I can deploy this application, within a few days or even a few weeks. Much, much faster than the process, like I mentioned before. I have to go buy the servers. I have to, go to set up the software environment, hire engineers to do that. I believe a lot of the AI companies in the future, actually using AI solutions, they're not going to have any AI engineers, inside, especially for smaller to mid-sized companies, because they're going to hire service providers, and those service providers are going to just source all these things together from the decentralized cloud and assemble things together. So this is how the tokens, we mentioned tokens, DBC is public traded. We completed the ICO last year, last November timeframe. This is how the ecosystem will run. On the left side, you have miners here. This is the mining machines, or people provide the mining machines. So they offer up their computing power to other people, and they get token rewards or income through the DBCs. On the other side, you have AI companies. They may offer or buy models or data or services. So they, depending on their position, they may kind of pay out DBCs or accept DBCs, and they may use the DBCs to purchase other things as well. So that's how things work together. Just to note, DeepBrain Chain, like most of the blockchain companies, we are actually a non-profit foundation. I think most people may not realize that. We are non-profit. Our goal is not to make profit. Our goal is try to create a community and really build up the community value. The community value is about everybody in our community holding the tokens, and if the token price appreciates, then everybody in this community will appreciate as well. So that's very important. Our Silicon Valley company on the other side is built as a profitable company, that's the company going to have the smart manufacturing solutions, data analytics, all those applications, and they're going to make profit for that. So that's the two difference. But our companies will be working very closely together. So we established a Silicon Valley Research Center, really tap into all the AI experts in Silicon Valley to help to develop the AI platform. And for the time, I'm not going to read through this, but you're welcome to come to our website or our Twitter or Telegram group to really see this information. They are widely available. From a blockchain perspective, we are actually building a public blockchain. So we're not really copying or forking, for example, like Ethereum or EOS, those blockchains. We actually are building our blockchain. And why is that? Because building a blockchain is incredibly difficult. Building a public blockchain ourselves is pretty difficult because we want to optimize the blockchain, our blockchain, for the AI use cases and for the AI companies, so we can function as an AI foundation chain in the future. And to do that, we actually consider quite a few of the architecture designs. Our blockchain team, most of them are veterans from companies like Tencent, Intel, Baidu, and China Telecom. People who used to handle large-scale cloud-based distributed architecture, right? So they're working together very closely. So for example, for scalability, we believe our network in the future will have close to 1 billion nodes and 1 million transactions per second. That's our design goal. Clearly, we're not going to achieve that since the beginning, but we believe our decentralized AI network eventually will have that kind of scale. So we're designing towards that. For security, recently you may hear a lot of security leaks and security kind of attacks in the blockchain companies. So we're very conscious. First, our code reviews and our development is very rigid. On the other side, we're actually building AI algorithms to proactively detect anomalies on the network, on the users, so we can detect attacks and things like those. For the rest of the second half of the year, our focus is really on threefold: hardware, software, and the apps. I'll explain a little bit more of those. Number one is the AI, the AI miner. This is the hardware we are selling, like I mentioned earlier. For the GPU resources on our network, there are two types of those. One is we sell them. This is the AI miners we designed, we optimized them. They are very much optimized for AI deep learning purposes. And the other part, it will be the Skynet program you see here. We're recruiting people to offer up their GPU power to join our network. So we kind of combine those together. For the AI mining machines, so it's designed basically number one as storage, because we have a lot of data is going to be stored encrypted in a distributed way on our network. And the rest of three, these are professionally built AI mining machines, 4 GPU, 2 GPU, 4 GPU, 8 GPU, and even 128 GPU clusters. So the good news is we began to sell them in May, kind of a pre-sale. We got almost about $100 million worth of pre-orders. We don't want to sell that many. Number one reason is because we are trying to be cautious. It's the first iteration of the product. We try to start a little small. And second, we want to make sure all the miners who purchase our mining machines get very good mining rewards, because the more machines, GPUs you have, the less rewards for each mining machine, because the total rewards for tokens every year is fixed. So at the end, almost become like a lottery. So we already sold 182 of those AI miners, including 2 128 GPUs, 38 GPUs, 34 GPUs, and et cetera, and we're going to start round 2, round 3, round 4 as well. So those machines will be the first round joining our network to do mining. Our software, the testnet, is ready by the end of the month. So we are doing validations and testings right now. So I'll show you some of the results later. So from the token reward perspective, if you go to our website or read our white paper, the structure is well published. So we have a total of 10 billion tokens. 5 billion tokens is reserved for mining rewards. So this is clearly set for the next many years. 5 billion tokens will be rewarded for people who offer us computing power. will offer us storage and the network connections, so as an incentive. And it's divided basically as similar to the Bitcoin. So the first 5 years is going to be 10% of that is 500 million per year, and after 5 years it will be halved, and then another 5 years will be halved, just like Bitcoin. So if you know the Bitcoin history, every time the token got halved, the price increased 10 times. At least that's a history as we've seen so far. So out of the 500 million tokens per year, 350 million tokens will be rewarded for GPU computing power, 100 million will be rewarded for storage and network. From a software roadmap perspective, by the end of Q4, what we hope to offer is all the major training software frameworks. There's TensorFlow from Google, PyTorch, Caffe. We even actually already overachieved that because we now offer even some of the machine learning frameworks like the Spark Analytics, Spark Machine Learning Library, and also H2O, one of the popular kind of machine learning toolkits. And we will also offer kind of GUI and the visualization to help people to monitor the progress of the AI training. Later, I have a video to show everybody. Then you can have the concept kind of landed into how it works. We also provide some out-of-the-box models and the data sets, so people can just directly use them to do the training. And then next year, we are going to focus a lot more on the distributed training, because our eventual goal is we'll have all these many nodes of computing nodes across the network, across the geography. We can leverage them to do distributed training together to build a much larger and wider neural network together. Of course, that's cutting edge research, because there's no mature algorithm to enable that to happen, right? But if you look at the history of Hadoop and the other distributed computing ways, eventually the trend will be like that. So we begin to see a lot of research results coming up, and we're monitoring those very quickly. We call that eyes on the stars. We're looking for cutting edge research, but meanwhile, we keep our feet on the ground to make sure if you submit your data, you come to one of our computing nodes, one of our computing power servers, your training can be complete, right? So which is, we have very, very good, high confidence that can be done. From applications, I mentioned this 3 applications earlier already: smart manufacturing, advanced analytics using AI, and also voice AI, text AI using NLP. So just give you a little bit details about the smart manufacturing application we're looking for. So everybody here know, even we are in either you're in the home appliance industry or automobile industry, where Bosch happen to be both, right? So the end of the manufacturing, you always have the simple quality control of, okay, does my final product have scratches, dents, right? All those anomalies. So I have to do the quality control. And now most companies we saw is have a person to do the quality inspection, and that doesn't generate very good results. And there are industry solutions available from companies such as Cognizant, from Keyence, but they don't use AI deep learning approaches. They use traditional pattern recognition, computer vision ways. And those out-of-the-box algorithms, because they are not really optimized and customized for your product line, for your product, for that situation, it often generates accuracy rate only to 60 to 70%. So it's really, most companies, they don't want to use them because, okay, if you tell me only 60% or 70% time correct, well, I'd rather want to keep my low-cost quality inspection person to do it using the eye, right? So what we believe to do is we can build customized AI solutions, customized for the certain product line, for the certain product, for the certain defects, for the certain environments, including the lighting environments, the assembly line situation. We can provide a very customized solution, and we can build a model for you within a few days to customize for that, and that achieve accuracy of 95%, if not above, right? So the POCs we are seeing so far is 99% for most of the cases, right? And how do we enable that? We enable that by using the DeepBrain Chain's ecosystem. If you look behind this, we mentioned earlier, at the bottom, we have the the data and the model and the computing power. So in this case, I'm training a visual inspection model using a very large neural network model and using a large computing power on the DeepBrain Chain platform, using the data set we already have either collected publicly from a public data set or from our own proprietary data sets. So I train a model already. So you can consider this model maybe like 95% complete, right? Then I deploy the model to a remote, let's see, the blue ones, imagine those in a factory. We put a small AIM miner of mining machines over there, 1 GPU, 2 GPUs, right? And that model will train our model further to complete the last mile to really have eventually 100% customized solution for that certain application or product. And then meanwhile, we'll collect the data of the raw data and keep training, so it's constantly training. So by combining a small mining machine at the customer site and the big computing power on the remote cloud or fog on the DBC network, we're able to build customized AI solutions. I'm a firm believer all the AI solutions which we can put into industry use for the next at least 5 years have to be customized. I'm not a believer of general intelligence will really make a breakthrough in the next 5 years. You can call me not the optimistic side on this, but I just don't simply say I can train a visual inspection model for all defects, right, for every product, and I can deploy remotely and be able to achieve a high accuracy, right? There has to be the edge computing on the local site, and by using the blockchain technology, we can securely connect the computing power and data and model together, right? That's actually one of the major reasons I joined DeepBrain Chain, because I think this kind of application work beautifully on the DeepBrain Chain neural net distributed network. Another example, we recently invested in 2 companies because we actually DeepBrain Chain. We also partner with certain VC funds to try to help incubate AI plus blockchain companies. We invest one company is OneGame, and Ms. Wang will introduce the company later. The other company we invest in is a smart energy company called E10 Power. So they're a company doing AI plus blockchain plus green power. So similar to Power Ledger, I think if you know, Power Ledger is probably the #1 green energy company on blockchain, right? They're like probably number 80 right now by market cap. So you can tokenize the future power plant you want to build in Caribbean or US or Australia, and then sell the tokens, crowdsourcing, and then distribute the dividends when the power plant begins to generate electricity, right? That's a common model. On the other side is this company also uses AI to do smart energy management. For example, you have a big building like a Bosch building here. How do you manage the building's energy consumption to the best extent, right? So a lot of companies begin to use AI to do that. For example, when do I turn on the air conditioning, right? Sometimes, contrary to common sense, you don't turn on the air conditioning when people begin to get to work, because that's normally the time the electricity rate is much higher, right? So you can turn on the electricity rate actually 2 hours earlier, but actually the rate is lower. So that's just a simple example, right? There are a lot of those kind of use cases. There's another that's a very good use case, also similar to this. I put a local AI mining machine to the building, and they can enable the smart building concept, because I can build models specially optimized for that smart building, right? Or smart city, or smart factory per se. So this model of DeepBrain Chain is a good enabler of this type of applications, combine the 95% complete model from the cloud, right? And then with the customized solution locally. So on the DeepBrain Chain network, this is the deep learning and the machine learning models we already completed on our testnet for image processing. We did MNIST, which is handwritten number recognition. We run one autonomous driving model from Tesla, actually successfully on our network. Robotic arm grabbing, you will see some later. NLP. The framework we enabled is listed here as well. TensorFlow, Caffe, PyTorch for deep learning, and the H2O and the Spark machine learning library for machine learning side. So this is just some screenshots to give you a idea of how the results is run on the testnet. We successfully went through the process. This is the machine learning side. So to put everything together, I think we made a video to. Oops. to demonstrate how the DBC testnet works. If I can get some help to run the video, that'd be great.
DeepBrain Chain is a decentralized AI cloud computing platform powered by blockchain. Our testnet covers several countries across the globe, with hundreds of computing nodes running on it, and new nodes join every day. Users can submit deep learning, machine learning, or other types of AI training tasks to our network. This user has selected deep learning model and their own dataset. On the DeepBrain Chain platform, we will also have out-of-box models and dataset provided by us, as well as free public dataset or AI models, or rentable DeepBrain Chain dataset and AI models. Users can also upload their own on top of renting on our platform. In the next step, our platform will search for machines that match your requirement. Each machine's owner can create an offer, or users can also put down their own offer. Computing nodes will receive proportional DBC rewards according to the computational power they provided. In the DeepBrain Chain network, there are various different grades of hardware resources and a professional AI software environment to create a turnkey solution for our users. You can easily conduct model training and computing on the platform. DeepBrain Chain's network provides 4, 8, 128 GPUs and a variety of other configured machines. These machines are ready to use, optimized AI server, capable of fulfilling AI enterprises' training needs. Training is done through freely loaded Docker. Users can choose different AI frameworks, such as TensorFlow, Caffe2, H2O, and dozens of other frameworks. During training, users can see the log information on the machines. We also have visualized user interface to help users check the process of training. Our platform supports driverless cars, natural language processing, facial recognition, and other AI trainings. Now you see the log will renew constantly during the training. The entire training process is monitored and recorded for the users to see. If there are any anomalies, you will receive a notification. When training is finished, you can check all types of information regarding the training result. Users can also rank the machines that conducted the training. Now the users will pay the machine owners appropriate amount of DBC for their computational power. If the training result needs iterating or changing, users can select to change and/or upload their model onto the same machine and continue training, since the data and model are already on the machine. Users' AI data, training log, and AI model will be deleted from the machine or machines used to train after task completion. But you can also choose to save your data and AI models on DeepBrain Chain's distributed AI storage space. Our blockchain uses the unlimited forest architect. It is capable of supporting multiple chains simultaneously, packaging blocks under 1 minute. So far, DeepBrain Chain's testnet has successfully run machine arm grabbing model, driverless cars models, and facial recognition model. We have developed AI apps by using H2O Flow, H2O 4GPU, and Spark, PySpark, and Spark machine learning on DBC testnet. Generalized linear models are trained by H2O 4GPU on the testnet AIM node. The H2O 4GPU works in the Docker of DBC testnet. These are hyperparameters tuning GLMs by H2O 4GPU on DBC testnet. This is the Apache Spark works in the Docker of DBC testnet. Spark and PySpark also work in the Docker of DBC testnet. You can also develop AI models by Spark on DBC testnet. The linear regression model has been built by Spark on DBC testnet. Here the correlation matrix of the linear regression model is shown. Take machine learning conducted through H2O for example. First, users have to submit their machine learning task on DBC platform and request H2O as the tool. After our system successfully pair your task with a machine in the network, you can upload your data to the distant computing node using DBC's secure data transport method. Public dataset or previously uploaded data saved on the DBC distributed network will be downloaded onto the machine matched. Using accelerated approach such as parallel trains and sharding, training result can be sent to non-DBC issued machines. As long as you meet the requirement, you can apply to become one of DeepBrain Chain's testnet nodes and use the others' computational power for free. At the moment, our testnet is already online. Users can conduct AI training on DeepBrain Chain's network. DeepBrain Chain aims to become the world's biggest decentralized AI cloud computing platform. And as an inspiring AI company and developer, join us and join the future.
I hope that give you a kind of a real view of how things works. So another exciting news we're very happy to announce to the DBC community today is our original plan is to have our mainnet live by the end of October. But because of a lot of demand and requests from our customers, AI companies, a lot of AI companies talk to us. They wanted to utilize the computing power on DBC as soon as possible. Actually, our CEO, Mr. He, actually was in Shenzhen for the one of the largest AI and robotics conference in Shenzhen. He basically got bombarded by AI companies in China, basically saying when you can make the computing power available for us to use, and we're willing to utilize because we don't have enough. So with those, and also the hard work of the DBC team internally, we're very excited to announce, actually, we're going to have the AI training mainnet available ahead of time on August 8th. So what this means is we will offer through the network, through the nodes of the coming in from Skynet, all this available computing power, we were able to offer them to AI training companies to begin to use them, and they can already begin to use our DBC tokens to buy or sell computing power. And later in the year, we're going to release more functionalities of the data and the model market. In this way, we're also going to reward DBC tokens for the people who join the Skynet network and offer their computing power for other people to use. So this is an exciting moment for us because we now begin to link the resources of computing power from across the globe to the companies who want to use them. The AI miners we sold and we're going to continue to sell will be shipped in October, still according to the original plan. And they will be joining the AI training net as the first batch to do the mining. So we are very conscious to protect the interest of the people who purchase our mining machines. So you're not going to lose your first right to mine the tokens. Most of the people buy our mining machines because of that reason. We totally respect that. We want to protect you for that as well. And then our main chain will be live by the end of the year. This is the public chain we're going to use to enable the AI companies to use. So I think overall, we adjust our timeline a little bit, but it's good news for our customers. They are able to utilize the computing power since early August rather than the Halloween day, the end of October. So we're very excited, and we hope that can move our project forward. And one note on this also is a lot of the companies, especially in the last few days, we talked to companies here talking to us how they can utilize the computing power. I think it's pretty clear there are two types of AI computing power needs. One is large companies, they may have very, very important data. They really care about, for example, the data security, the data privacy, the export control, and we care as much as you do as well. So we have a very good solution of that. For example, just run through the workflow. For example, somebody bought an 8 GPU machine or a 128 GPU cluster here. They want to offer it for GPU to use. But like I mentioned earlier, most of our buyers they buy the machines, they never touch or see the machine. The machine is directly shipped to a data center. Let's see the machine be shipped into a data center in Frankfurt or even in Stuttgart here, one of the locked Tier 3 plus data center. It's going to be locked in there. Nobody will touch the machine other than DBC software. There's no access. So we classify those type of mining machines as highest security ratings. And they are within Germany territory or European territory, so you can ensure your compliance of the data privacy laws, so data does not leave. So when we do the machine matching for you, when you select, we will ask you, do you require a high classification GPU computing nodes? Do you need a geography limitation so we can make sure you get a matching machine from that angle, so you can have, we think that you can have those requirements fulfilled. We think a lot of the companies care about their data set or model privacy. They will be utilizing this type of computing power. Of course, this type of computing power will charge more, will be more expensive than the ones have less security rating. On the other side of the spectrum, a lot of the AI companies, or even especially universities or researchers, right? They are actually running the models developed by other people. they're actually running on the data set, is a public data set, ImageNet or other research. They're doing research purposes. So for them, the data security and the model security is not really as big as a concern as the corporate, but they don't have computing powers. I talked to many university professors in Silicon Valley, I mean Stanford, CMU, and Berkeley. Those are well-reputed companies, universities, and we hire interns from other good universities. You know the number one reason the intern, number one question, intern join a company to do summer interns, they ask, do I have my own GPU machine so I can do AI training, right? So because if you don't give me a AI machine, I'm not coming to your place to do AI training, right? A professor, even in a good university, can they really afford to buy 8 GPU machines, $30,000 each for every one of his 10 PhD students, right? Because you buy the machine will start depreciation right away, and it's not going to generate any income for you, right? So a lot of those use cases are a great fit for our Skynet machines, because you can come to us, you can do your training already on our available computing powers, and you care less about the security and the privacy per se in those use cases, or compared to the corporates, right? And then you can get computing power right away. So for example, a professor only have 2 machines for his 10 students, now you can have 10, right? For 10 or even more, or you can just grab the one when you need them, right? So great use cases can help us to advance academic research, advance companies, and help them to reduce cost. Believe it or not, many of the small to medium-sized companies, when they do research, they are running other people's model as well, right? The joke is, if you are in the AI space, to replicate other people's model using the other people's data set, that's already challenging enough. It normally take a long time. Some of the advanced models take weeks or months for people to replicate. And if you can replicate that, VGG models or ResNet models, and you're already a good engineer per se, right? So those can be great fit for our initial use cases. So I just want to make sure, because a lot of people and companies ask those questions, we have solutions on both sides to help people. Of course, this type of less secure infrastructures will cost less, right? And the more secure ones will cost more. We will have solutions in tiers in the middle as well. So in summary, again, I appreciate everybody's time to listen in. Our project is quite technology, centric, right? So not a lot of, like a lot of other blockchain companies, concept is very easier to understood. But that's also make our project challenging and rewarding, because it's incredibly hard to do a public chain and incredibly hard to do AI applications. And that's probably one of the reasons why we are still the only one company doing AI-focused computing power, especially GPU computing power in this space. So we hope we can provide a very good solution, and we're also very practical, right? And I talked to Bosch investment team earlier today. I also has been a veteran investor for many years and invest in the AI space. And the one thing I always want to invest in companies is the companies can use mature technology to develop real applications for real use cases in a matter of reasonable time, which for me it should be like 6 to 18 months, not in 5 years. If somebody come in to say, I have a cutting-edge research that's going to change the world in 5 years, I would say, great, I encourage you to continue, but I'm not going to invest in you because it takes too much time to generate revenue. So we very much keep our feet in the ground to look for the right use cases, to look for the right customers, to work together with them to build up and expand our DeepBrain Chain platform and ecosystem over time. We believe this is a journey, it's not a sprint, and we hope we can work with everybody to really achieve the vision of the decentralized AI cloud. We mentioned earlier, we are incubating and helping other smaller AI plus blockchain companies. We hope to build them as success. For example, OneGame, who will talk soon, if they build their AI solutions on top of DeepBrain Chain, number one, we will help them reduce cost and improve time to market. And number two, beneficial to our ecosystem, their data, their models will contribute to our ecosystem. Same thing for the energy company. All their energy data and models will contribute and link to the DeepBrain Chain network, which will be available for more other people to do research or commercial development. So we think that's a win-win situation. So I hope we bring you this information. I would love to answer questions or talk to folks here in the network session. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Wang. That was a lot of information and very impressive speech. Thanks. And for me, I think I believe that DeepBrain Chain will be a very good enabler and also a very good partner for AI technologies and AI companies in the future. And because computing power and data privacy protection are very important topics for AI, and DeepBrain Chain is now working on this topic very intensively. And for me personally, I cannot wait to see how the AI will change our life in the future. And maybe AI will take away my job in the future, and then I can drink beer every day and enjoy the holiday. Why not? I hope my boss is not watching this event now. Yes, and just now, Dr. Wang, you said that you have visited some companies and universities near Stuttgart, and you come from Silicon Valley. And actually, I heard from my German colleagues, there is also a Silicon Valley in Germany. Yeah, not only, it's really, they said that it's between Ulm and Pforzheim. That's actually the surrounding of Stuttgart. And we have here Daimler, we have Bosch, we have Porsche, and a lot of hidden champions. So actually, we are now also in Silicon Valley today. And next presenter, Mr. Busch, is also coming from Silicon Valley, from Germany. And yes, let's welcome our next presenter, Mr. Peter Busch, Automotive Lead of Distributed Ledger Technologies at Bosch, with his speech, Disruption of Automotive Industry by Distributed Ledger. Welcome, Mr. Busch.
Thank you much. So, is this working? Okay. Yes, good evening, everybody here. I'm really elated to talk to you and talk a little bit about the vision of blockchain distributed ledger technologies of Bosch. It was a really fascinating presentation I just saw, and really fascinating, just can't repeat that. You already saw the cover page of my presentation, so this was just a teaser for yourself. Hopefully we see the next two pictures as well. Okay. Okay, let me just give you a short overview of where I come from. I work for the corporate department of Automotive Integration, which is some kind of a think tank where we build up the new strategies for Bosch in terms of connectivity, in terms of AI, in terms of cloud computing, fog computing, and of course, blockchain. However, we do not call it blockchain anymore. We only talk about blockchain when we talk to the managers, because the hype name is well known. We like to talk about distributed ledger technologies. Why, I'm going to tell you in a moment. If you look at the impressive numbers of Bosch, you can imagine that we have to think about the strategy, about the future of Bosch. The main part is still done in automotive technologies, of course. However, if you look at the rest in the list here, we have to think about a lot of industrial internet of the future. We have to talk about smart homes, smart factory applications, but as well the consumer goods. And these areas are growing, and of course they are connecting together. So one of our famous sayings of our CEO, Mr. Denner, was every product, every service, every product will have an IP address in the future. So everything will be connected. So this is a quite impressive statement, and I'm gonna tell you how we're gonna achieve that. If you look at the connected products that we already have on the markets, there's a missing number, okay. And if you see the market presence we already have, 27 million already in 2016, and as well lots of different projects already dealing with cloud computing, with Bosch IoT cloud projects. So Bosch IoT cloud, we have our own cloud. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it later. And so we try to find out what will the future hold us. How have we deal with that? How have we think about? And what will be the best strategies to deal with it when it comes to our products? And so we came up with a specific approach with our main project endeavor in the distributed ledger technologies. We call it economy of things. So we do not call it the blockchain project. And I think we stole that, word from IBM. They called economy of things maybe the next generation internet, where we deal with economies, where we deal with values. So the first step which we have to climb is really understand digital currencies first. So what do we mean with that? Of course, you all know the Bitcoin hype stuff, but as well there are a lot of other currencies, several thousand at the moment already, and understand how maybe we're gonna use that. Of course, we already talk about use case, how do we earn money with that later on? So one example could be the connected car e-wallet. The car earns money and sells services, buys services autonomously. So these very interesting ideas what we will have in the future. The next step we have to climb then is really the digital notary functionality, so that we really are able to have some kind of a notary functionality in our systems, which are able to document all our transactions that we have in the internet of the future and really notarially signed, so that we can really be sure that everything what is happening, especially in the AI area, when we have some interesting decisions in the autonomous car of the future, we are sure that it is really safe, stored, saved, and is not changeable anymore, that anyone can see how we did this decision, why we did this decision, and how it came then to the coming activities afterwards. The next step is when we understand the first two, a really very interesting new logical level that we're going to see in the future. I think you heard about the smart contracts already that we have in the later generations of the distributed ledger technologies. Smart contracts will enable really our products and our services and our system to really communicate to each other, and not only exchange data, but also exchange values, maybe do some brokering, maybe sell data, buy data, maybe try to understand, okay, I'm gonna need that service, and I have that money, have that cryptocurrency maybe with me in my e-wallet, and I need that now, so I'm gonna buy it there. But maybe it's too expensive. So is there another service? And then we can do a brokerage. How expensive, how valuable is my data? How valuable is maybe the service I can buy, and so on. This is therefore really the logic. And we are not really at the very beginning, I think, with the smart contract research that we're already doing here. And I guess AI will play a major role here in that space as well. When we talk about a logic level that we have on top of all our products and all of our distributed ledger connectivity products, then we need some kind of smart contracts technology that we are able to do here, like these examples talk about peer-to-peer microgrids, like doing all this microgrids stuff from smart factory, smart city, and the like, but as well when we talk about economy, when we come to the next step, because what we really need is now the digital identity in the next step. Understand that every device, every connected device has to have its own identity, somehow stored in the distributed ledger technology environment, so that we can have a seamless sign-on. Talk about autonomous cars, driving to smart cities, and really without interaction of the driver, are able to pass toll gates, able to do the parking and all this other stuff, buying all these interesting services that we're gonna buy in the future. And this is only happening, only possible if the car itself has its own identity, and not the driver only has to swipe his card or pin in a number or operate a smartphone or something like that. So the vehicle should do it by itself. And then, last but not least, the fifth step will really then come to the economic device. So if you now really combine all these different steps, then maybe we come at the end to a device which is possible to do all this, what I just told you in the different steps together, and act as an economic device and do business with other economic devices. This sounds really like the future, and if we really assess all the steps and understand what we have to do here, then maybe we really come to an economy of things. That's how we called our products for the next few years. We're gonna research that, work together with our business units to really achieve these steps. Okay, how are we gonna what is our vision now exactly about the next generation of the Internet of Things? Because the Internet of Things is the big vision of Bosch. And I think all of the big corporates that deal with high technology. So we already have lots of connected devices. They talk already to each other. They are connected somehow. They talk about their protocols. But on the other side now, we have these new technologies talking about distributed ledger, talking about smart contracts. And now if we combine these both, again, we come to the economy of things, really getting to these connected devices and have maybe some kind of a Internet of Things with not only data, but as well value exchange. We really need that because we will see more and more autonomous devices in the future, which are talking to each other, which are searching each other, finding each other, and as well exchange money and values. Let me give you one example. This is one product that already left the proof of concept stage. What we found out is the Automotive fraud has really a bigger and bigger growing number of fraud. Only in Germany, we found out in a study that 6 billion euros are lost every year since the Automotive was really changed. So if you sell your car and you say, okay, it has only 20,000 kilometers on it, so I get lots of money, and in reality it has like 60 to 80 or 100,000 kilometers. And this is really happening a lot. Like I think 30 to 50% of all resold cars have an Automotive fraud behind it. You wouldn't believe that. And therefore, we tried out in a field test already a blockchain distributed ledger solution where we call it Certifica, where we put all the Automotive data onto a blockchain. And here we use the classic blockchain, Ethereum, so that we really, and I call it already classical, where we can have some kind of a certification process whenever we like. We can print out or can a digital certificate like that one, where we can say, okay, the real value of my Automotive is really 8,200, and it's not really happened a fraud to it, because we have all this data put into the blockchain from day 0 of the car to then when it comes to the factories, leave the factory, go into a garage, leave the garage again, and later on want to resell it again. So this is really something that we have certified, and therefore as well you need already some of the steps. And here we talk, we work together with big OEMs, which are very interested in having this kind of functionality, and as well with some kind of a German-specific certificate authority, which helps us bridging the gap from classic technology to distributed ledger technologies. Because as you might know, in the distributed technology future, you really do not need these intermediaries anymore. But maybe a lot of the people do not really understand what that means and not really trust it. So we have a psychological step here, having another certificate authority just behind it, helping them understand this technology really works, and it's called TÜV. Maybe German ones know it. It's some kind of a technical certification authority or something like that, you can call it, and the people trust them. So in a study, we still found out that in a world where you really can't trust anyone again or anymore, when you go in the internet, you still need trusted certification units. So maybe we're going to find it out with that one. But as other examples I would like to show you where we are working and experimenting with is a hazard warning project. Hazard spot warning project we tried out a little bit. So what about you as a car and a car driver? So I can always talk about autonomous car already. Drive over the Autobahn, and you're gonna experience black eyes or potholes or traffic jams or any other dangerous situation. And you would like to inform your other neighbors on the Autobahn, maybe behind you, which are approaching your place or your location in a few minutes. But what would be the incentive to do that? In the past, we did lots of business modeling workshops in the connected service environment, and then we always stopped here because we didn't really understood, or we couldn't understood the end user why he should do that. In the area of distributed ledger technologies, that difference could be made when he gets an incentive to do so. If the car would really earn money while selling data, which is very important for others, then it would be, could be a quite interesting incentive. But as well, if you go one step further, talking about a logical layer like smart contracts, we could really go one step here forward in maybe enabling like something like new functionalities for the car, maybe like some kind of a brokering element here as well. And this really is very interesting. And we did here our first pilots, and they look really very interesting to us. Another interesting example, what we are thinking about is the really important firmware or software over the air process. Because think about the car in the future, which gets more and more software in it. Already we have like 100 million lines of code in a car, and this will really grow exponentially if you talk about artificial intelligence of the future in the car. So what we do need from time to time is, of course, the update. Made the firmware, but made as well new feature, new technologies that we would like to use. And if we talk about here blockchain, what can we improve here? What we need when we do autonomously updating the car with software, of course, a tamper-proof documentation, what we did. Has this car the right software? Has it for this component which is in the car the right version number? What was the history of this car in this versioning? Do we have really the right version? And can we prove that we did the wrong, not the wrong thing, that we did the right thing? Because if something's happening, then it could be really interesting and sensitive for us to really prove that our car did the right thing. So funny times that we have really to think about that our car needs to prove something. Yeah? So it will come in the future. But as well, the additional feature that we would like maybe to buy into the car. You all know maybe the case of Tesla, where they could use or could buy new software, but not everything went right. So this really we have to think about. And luckily, Tesla did here the first step, and not us. Okay, so if you now go one step further and think about the ecosystem approach. In the beginning, I talked about the Bosch IoT cloud. So this were our first steps in terms of what is in a cloud. So the best way to find out how a cloud is functioning, build your own one. And what we found out, of course, we learned a lot. But a very important step here is, or thing is, what we learned is we have, of course, incorporated the others as well. Yeah, all the well-known. So if we come together and find about the correct functionality in the cloud, then what we need here is, of course, think about the use case that we can now enable. And in an ecosystem, you have lots of different use case areas. And when you talk about Bosch, you really find a lot of different business units which produce lots of different stuff. And you can find all the different areas here where we have to find new products and services in the future. And if you talk about then, of course, we need to talk about business models. How do we earn money with these new products and services? But now the new challenge comes up to us is, what about partnering? What about new collaboration models in the future? Because when we talk about distributed ledger technologies, for example, we talk about open source, we talk about open data, we talk about new collaboration models. And this is very important here, since we do not have to work with our partners in this classical way, but as well maybe in a very new way, enabling them to have their new business model built up as well, but as well coming together in such kind of a win-win situation. Of course, our classical customers will have their own new services too, and have to use their new features there too, but we have to adapt here. But of course, as every big corporate, we have to find out what it does with Bosch itself. How can we improve our services and our products here? And now, which here's my favorite quarter in this corner here, we have to incorporate the external community of developers. So we have to allow them to join our network, to develop software, to let them work together on our products, and we have to help them and have to really give them the tools they need and give them the possibilities to work together with us. And here I talk about as well contributing open source from inside Bosch and let them contribute to our products. And this is the only way really we come to a new level that we're going to work together with lots of different partners, other corporates, but as well with the whole world and communities. And therefore, I think such approaches like all these huge networks which are growing out there have lots of interesting developers and lots of forces that we can as well use and join. So I would like to talk a little bit about the new collaboration models which we have to go into if we talk about these new ecosystems. So we founded, I think 2 years ago already now, the Trusted IoT Alliance, where the vision is really to build up a safe and trusted IoT of the future, saved and improved maybe with distributed ledger technologies. But wisely, we did not call it Blockchain IoT Alliance or something like that, because we do not know what really comes next. Yeah, what is the real distributed ledger? So you see the enterprise companies which have joined that collaboration, this consortium, and as well, what is very, very interesting on the other side, lots of very, very interesting startups have already joined. And so there we have really a nice club of very interesting partners where we can really learn how to do this collaboration. To the market was the MOBI, the Mobility Open Blockchain Initiative, which we, together with other large corporates, founded. So we started this year, just a few months ago. So what we did here is really to do a distributed ledger-centric consortium, which really have this use case in mind when it comes to the automotive market or the mobility space. But as well, if you look at this side, and you as well have in mind the other side on the startups page before. So we have almost the same startups here as well, because we have some really interesting stuff to do as well. But as well, as we see, interesting network as already, the Trusted IoT Alliance is part of this alliance too. So this will be really one interesting other side to just work with the automotive or the mobility force out there. And if you look at the use case that we want to try out here, you can see a lot of interesting stuff, and I already talked about this, like the tracking vehicle data, like autonomous machine payments, of course, as a generic term, mobility commerce platforms, and all that alike. But the most important thing is here, not really come up with shiny new products, but to come up with industrial standardizations. So really what we need is to get them work together, the bigger OEMs, and of course, they are missing a few of the bigger ones, but I think we get them very soon. If you just look at here, the right side, what I think very interesting here as well, like a World Economic Forum, for example, really interesting startups here and companies as well, which will help us to do this standardization processes. Okay, so I think this was my speech here. What I wanted to end with is just take one thing with you. We do not talk about blockchain anymore. We do talk about distributed ledger technologies, because the classical blockchain that we saw in the past had lots of energy consumptions, lots of really scalability issues and all that stuff. And we would like to think about the new distributed ledger technologies in the future, talking about DAG algorithms, the directed acyclic graph algorithm, for example, which are very, very interesting. In terms of scalability, in terms of node transaction costs, for example, in terms of light node algorithms and so on. And this is what we need in the future. So because of that, we talk about distributed ledger technologies and not about the other word. And I think hopefully you learned a little bit now about Bosch and its big vision and what we're going to have for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Busch. It's also a very interesting speech. And the first thing after this event tonight is, for me, I would like to check my odometer, and to check whether there is a fraud behind it. So we see that we are now talking about blockchain here, and Bosch doesn't want to talk about it. You are talking about distributed ledger technology. And a lot of companies, also in Germany, also in China, we are talking about Internet of Things. But you are talking about the next generation of Internet of Things. So we see that Bosch is really a driver of future technology. And I've already seen a pretty lady waiting here. And actually, just now we are also waiting for you. And Miss Jane Wang. She is the Chief Marketing Officer of OneGame. And before inviting you to the stage, I would like to ask 2 questions to the audience. The first one, have somebody ever played computer games? I think so, yes, a lot. But who plays computer games every week now? Raise your hands. I see several. And who has ever created an own game for yourself? Wow. More than those who play computer game every week. So you are a technology driver, I think. And for those guys who like computer games, I think you should pay high attention to the next speech from Miss Jane Wang, and she will share with us about how to build a decentralized virtual game world. Welcome, Jen. You're welcome. Yeah. This one? Yeah. Yep. Maybe you can do this one.
Hi, everyone. My name's Jane. I'm coming from New York. I'm really excited to be here with you guys today. I'm the CMO at OneGame. At OneGame, and previously, I was a software engineer at a number of unicorns. So we want to build OneGame as a decentralized virtual world on DeepBrain Chain. The reason we want to create a virtual world is because we believe the virtual world can surpass the real world. If you've seen the movie Ready Player One, you saw Wade become Percival in a world filled with infinite possibilities and much faster evolution. So the dream is already alive. It's really depending on who is going to build it first. So modern game companies have built more and more incredible games, and we are a huge fan of some of these companies, such as Blizzard, but they also face significant limitations. The games are pre-designed by a team of designers, and they have rigid pre-programmed rules. So this leads to finite variability. So what you see is a chart where user number increases and eventually levels off. This is inevitable. At the same time, these games are centralized, controlled by a single entity. There are non-transparent rules. These game companies decide when new patches come out. So players and developers do not have the ability to control the game. Finally, gaming companies get a lot of data and learn from the gamers, yet the gamers pay to play the games, and the gaming companies get all the benefits. This is extremely centralized. We think this paradigm will not last for the long term. So with OneGame, we want to create a decentralized virtual world where the participants, the gamers, as well as developers can control the game. In order to do so, we need to build a set of consensus algorithms which rank the gamers and the developers and reward them with OGT tokens. These participants of the platform also can vote on the evolvement of OneGame platform over time. There will be transparent rules, and this is built on the blockchain. We also use AI. We also decided to build on DeepBrain Chain, which is an AI-based blockchain, because we want to implement AI algorithms to allow the generation of virtual goods at a much faster rate. So here I will give you an example of how we're planning on using AI in DeepBrain Chain. So in most games, there's something called an NPC, which is a non-player character. These are entities in the game that helps the players to farther in the game. And also they do mundane tasks such as land creation. So these characters typically are built based on decision tree. So most gaming companies will write a program with decision tree, which determines how this character interacts with the gamers. This is not really a true AI. So in OneGame, we can launch a competition such as train your pet dragon. And this stream of data can actually be used to structure as training sets to train the NPCs in OneGame. So this is just one of many ways we're planning on using AI. Right now, at this stage, OneGame consists of a main app and an avatar wallet. The main app is called the Open Platform, which is a lobby. When user enters the lobby, they're able to see all the variations of land parcels. On each land parcel is a game that they can choose to play. Also, I want to mention, in the main app, there are easy-to-use editors, which allows someone with limited experience or no experience to be able to use drag and drop and create a very simple game We will also build SDKs, developer tools, and open source our Lua script libraries for advanced professional developers to create professional games. So we really want to segregate the developers into two, the basic and the more professional. So here in this slide, you can see that this is a land parcel, and this user has chose to create an industrial center on this land parcel. They can also change the beginning, end state, and rules of gameplay on his land. So here, the user changing the topographic elements on this land. There's also a script editor, which someone with a programming skill could change the rules or upload existing Lua script from our script library. And besides the main app, we are going to launch the Avatar Wallet on July 15th. So the Avatar Wallet is the digital representation of users in the blockchain world. If you think about how most people participating in the blockchain, they use a wallet, an address, and I'm sure my grandmother would not be able to, or your grandmother would not be able to understand how to use something like this. So the Avatar Wallet is a really easy to understand graphic interface for users to be able to interact in the blockchain world. We also want to integrate with social networks and use a gamified interface to encourage the user to deposit the native token, OGT, OneGame token. The motivation to create an Avatar Wallet is that we want to generate a lot of incoming traffic using social networks for virality. From the perspective of tokenomics, we want to encourage users to lock their existing OGT in their wallet, which and gives them certain benefits. And this also controls the circulation of OGT in the market. And finally, as I had mentioned, users need an intuitive way. So we want to position this Avatar Wallet as the avatar wallet that users use to create their digital representation in the blockchain. So an Avatar Wallet has basic functionalities, allows you to deposit and transfer out OGT. It displays users' avatar in the virtual world and allows free daily sweepstakes to win virtual items. And these virtual items actually have value. They can be transacted using OGT. So you can trade, exchange, and gift virtual items. At the same time, you can also create your virtual items and sell in the asset store. So let's take a look at the wallet's interface. On the first screen, we see that the user can deposit OGT and Ethereum. They can also exchange these currencies inside the wallet. In the future, we'll expand to have more currencies, including, of course, DBC. The users can also see their friends' status and communicate and message their friends, as well as see the friends' recent activities. Now, we want to encourage users to deposit OGT token in the wallet. So based on the amount of OGT that's deposited, user can win different virtual goods. For example, if you deposit 1,000 OGT, you can win a bicycle. If you deposit 10,000 OGT, you can win maybe a Toyota. And if you deposit 100,000 token and lock it for 3 months, you can win a Porsche. In this case, the user has deposited at least 2,000 tokens, which allows them to take a spin and win a robot dog. So in users' asset item library, we can see that they have won a robot dog and dinosaur. And also there's a different type of asset, which is a DNA gene. The DNA gene can be used to be applied onto the avatar and change, in this case, avatar's eye color to blue. So an avatar could start as a very primitive entities and over time evolve into something that's much more complex. So based on technical solution, we're going to use egret engine-based 2D, 3D gene hybrid scene, and we'll also create models and controllers, export from Unity 3D and upload into egret. Initially, we'll adopt the smart contract and have a semi-centralized server architecture, and once DeepBrain Chain mainnet launches, we'll be going to migrate to a decentralized computing platform. This Avatar Wallet will publish as a WeChat app, Facebook app, and other HTML5 app. So the OneGame token I had mentioned earlier is going to be used as rewards for top-performing developers, creators, and players. It also has in-game utility functions such as creation and maintaining of land, collecting fees from the games on the land, buying, selling game assets in the asset store, and also for computing and storage resources. Our architecture is divided into front end and back end. On the front end, we support VR, mobile, and PC clients, and also open source the developer tools and SDKs. On the back end, it's divided into 2 layers. So we have smart contracts running on DPC, as well as mining services deployed on the DPC. So OneGame faces a number of competitions. In terms of direct competition, we have Decentraland, which is a ERC20-based token built on the Ethereum blockchain. This company has current market value of 100 million market cap and raised 24 million in its ICO. However, Decentraland does not have a team that has gaming experiences. Further, they do not provide decentralized consensus and governance. And also, it does not provide any incentive for the gamers and the developers. In our indirect competition, we have Roblox, which is a California-based gaming company that's very successful with a market cap over 1 billion and 500 million in revenues in 2017. However, like most traditional gaming companies, this company does not provide any incentives for the gamers, nor is it built on the blockchain, so therefore it does not have traceability of its digital assets. The OneGame team came together in 2013, and in the past 5 years, we shipped a number of games, resulting in over 10 million downloads. So we're quite confident that we can ship the products. So currently, we have the Avatar Wallet prototype built, and will be launched in middle of July. We're also in the middle of our fundraising. Our public crowd sale will start on July 20th. We're also building out our team of game developers, software engineers, and game designers. So here's the team. As you can see, our CEO and blockchain engineer are ex-Googlers, as well as a number of members from the team came from top game design companies. Among our investors is DeepBrain Chain, who is a very important investor of us. Colin Starr is an Australia-based crypto fund that has also invested us among many others. So this is OneGame. Please check us out at one.game and reach out to us if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. If I have known OneGame before or a few years ago, then I think I would like to play games. But I play games very seldom because I couldn't win the game, couldn't always win the game. So in the future with OneGame, I think I can create the games for myself in which I can win every time and also earn some money. I think that's a good point. The last session, our panel discussion, it's about real-world adoption of blockchain. So the last session will be hosted by another colleague, Mr. Aaron Bandmüller. He is the investment director of RBVC. And yes, Aaron, you can introduce yourself later, and you can just invite our guests onto the stage and enjoy. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
And hello, everyone. How are we doing? And also hello to everyone on YouTube. First time I'm actually on YouTube. Real-world adoption of blockchain has already started. That was the thought I had when Hongshuan introduced me to DeepBrain Chain the other day, and I was quite puzzled. So with these words, I would like to re-invite the presenters back on stage, Dong Juan, Peter Bush, and Jane Wang, and also Hongshuan Zhang, please. Awesome. Jane, I think you get this one again. There you go. Okay.
We have.
So
Thank you.
when we looked at at blockchain technology, I think it was about 2 years ago, we all thought, okay, this is really great and it has a lot of potential, but the real world applications really seem to wait a bit. And when I learned about you guys, I was puzzled. So what is your secret? How did you do that?
Well, I think I hint that in the presentation is try to find a large industry, try to find a real pain point, and try to solve that issue using the technology. And for us, happen to be the AI industry, and we use blockchain technology for a reason. I think a lot of the blockchain projects, you may see them and wonder, why do they have to use blockchain, right? Rather than try to really get on the blockchain train. So I think just like any business, any technology trend in the past, don't start an internet company if that company does not require internet, right? Same reason.
Okay, fantastic. So it is all about building up ecosystems, right? So
we like to be a platform and ecosystem company. I think that's the best position to be in.
So Peter, what is your approach with Bosch here on the ecosystems?
Yeah, as I talked already about in my talk, I think very, very important for us is to think about ecosystems here, because nobody will get his own blockchain or own technology and own products running without really combining it with other partners, with other technologies and with other corporates. And of course, not forgetting the end user who really needs to adopt it as well. So and therefore, every participant in such a working or successful ecosystem has to have some kind of a win-win solution for himself. And therefore, as well, we need to think about a really new collaboration style, how to involve all of them and give them some kind of perspective where they can get out the most for themselves, and not only think about our own profit, for example. But that's what I understand about with ecosystems.
Fantastic. Hongshan, from the VC perspective.
Yeah, we are observing, right? We have been observing this thing for more than 2 years. And one thing I have learned in the blockchain industry, you need to think out of the box. So everything is possible. And the speed is just astonishing. So we need to adjust our judgment from time to time, actually very quickly. And we try to talk to many, many people. So talk to Peter and talk to other entrepreneurs in this space. But I must say, in the last days or weeks, with this new information, we need to adjust the picture quickly. So that's my impression. But I think in terms of ecosystem, you're absolutely right. With the ecosystem, this is one of the components why things are moving so fast. Right.
Mm-hmm. So Jane, we haven't met before, so I spent a little bit time researching OneGame, and I saw that your ICO is coming out in about 7 days, right? Something like that?
Yes.
It's just in a few days, so it's probably very tense right now for you.
Very exciting time for us.
So how do you actually disrupt your industry with this kind of technology?
So in the gaming industry, most games we see that are successful, or something like CryptoKitty, is really just focused on one set of rules. It is a single smart contract which is deployed on the Ethereum blockchain. It's very limited, and as you can see, the usage data from CryptoKitty is really dropping off steeply. So we are not building a single game, we're building a platform which allows people to make their own games. So this is the type of a platform which evolves on its own. So like I mentioned, it is a virtual world that evolves. So we like to see people create their own games and to unlock the incredible creativities that we see in the game development community. And also they can share the benefits via OGT tokens instead of a single entity. We are a foundation, very much like the DeepBrain Chain Foundation. So we are not there to make a profit. We just want to build the ecosystem.
So Peter, will there also be a Bosch token now?
I don't think so, not that fast maybe. But of course we have to think about this option as well, because everything is possible, as you said, Hongguan. But however, the main difference we have to clarify all the time to all the people that we're gonna talk is we do not do blockchain, distributed ledger technology because you want to get rich, filthy rich with blockchain, get billionaires with the crypto tokens and all that. What we are focusing on is really make the products, the internet and so on, safer, more trustworthy, and really understand the technology behind it. When you talk about machine-to-machine payment, we mean the technology behind it that we need for our autonomous cars, for our smart cities, for our smart grids to work, and not really to earn money with it. Maybe later, then we get rich.
Yeah. Maybe I have a little bit different view on that.
Your venture capital.
Right. I have to. Right. So if we're talking about decentralization, what does it mean? Decentralization means that everybody should participate. Participate in what? And so we're not just talking about participating in technology, in decision making, but also incentives. Right? Yeah. So we could say, okay, maybe Bosch won't build a token in this year, but we need to think about how to incentivize people, how to encourage people to participate and be the part of the ecosystem. I think a kind of mechanism, this is very, very, very important.
Mm-hmm. Incentivize them, but not make them rich.
Actually, this is a hot topic, if I may chime in as well. There's actually interesting, there are many threads of interesting discussion on this topic to have a blockchain, but without having a token, right? So there's a joke in the Silicon Valley, there are many versions, but I'm going to use the version that I can publicly speak, is saying to have the blockchain without a token is like you have a girlfriend, but you cannot touch the hand. Right? so it's about the incentive. I think I very much agree with Dr. Jiang said, is when you have this decentralized ecosystem, when people to participate, if you don't have an incentive, how can you create a value system, right? Regardless, you want to tokenize a future power plant or like a game asset or anything you want to tokenize a future, you have to give people today incentives so they can participate, right? So if we believe in the value of decentralized AI cloud as a future value, so today's DBC token is traded in the public market is a fraction of that future value, and people believe in, they jump in, right? Using a power plant example, it may be more easily to understood, because if people don't have incentive to chime in, that power plant, green power plant in the Caribbean is never going to be built because they cannot raise money. The only way they can raise money is to go to the traditional VCs, and people don't want to invest in long cycles of power plant building up. But for smaller investors, by buying the tokens with the fiat money, they have the incentive to participate and to accelerate a good course like the green energy. Right? So I think it's two sides of the coin. Blockchain, the biggest value of blockchain is, I think, it creates a value system, right? The distributed ledger, the security, and all those things are great values, but the biggest value is to really say, if I can talk to you, and that we have a value agreement and have a consensus built, monitored by all the other people, the right people, not necessarily to be all the public people, the whole chain, right, but maybe partial. That create a value system. I don't have to deal with the central middleman like the bank, like the Amazon, like the Uber, like we discussed about, right? To have that happen without the incentive, I personally cannot see how that will happen. Right. We can absolutely using the digital ledger technology, either Hyperledger or other things, for example, to make my supply chain more productive. Having the true records, all those things. There is great value of blockchain technology itself, but I don't think the blockchain technology or the ledger technology can reach its full potential without the incentives. Right? I think that's the almost 50%, if not more than 50% of the game.
Just to make it again clear, don't get me wrong, I didn't mean we do not need or we do not have incentives here and do not use the micropayments that we have to use, of course. Our first step in our phase really was understand cryptocurrency and use cryptocurrency as well, but use it wisely. Use it to do machine-to-machine economy, and not if you look in the internet, in the social media, and there's something about Bitcoin, Ethereum, IOTAs, and all that other stuff that's out there, you see lots of negative energy and all that stuff coming up here, because it's all about money in that case. The thing we want to really find a cool, good, safe, and trusted way for Bosch in the future to use and to be able to talk about it, and not to get hated in the internet because we do that and that.
I think your use case there was brilliant. The odometer example, that's a perfect use of the digital ledger and also have people to provide incentive to say where is the hazard on the road. I think the blockchain applications this year probably maybe the first year of the blockchain applications to become successful, rather than just a bubble. But like AI said, I believe the next few years the real applications, the successful ones, will be the ones very selected in narrow scope, rather than try to boil the ocean, right? Because that's like any new technology. Amazon started to sell the books, even they have the vision to sell everything, right? But that vision is still not achieved yet, even today. But starting sell books and find a good use case to disrupt first, right? That's why we want to start small as well, even when we have a huge vision. Yeah.
I'd like to bring another point about tokenization in the public blockchain. So if you look at traditional investments, it's basically a startup have to go to a VC, right? So VCs are the gatekeepers in Silicon Valley. Now, tokenization allows individual small investors to be able to participate in projects that they believe in. And so in our case, we're attracting independent developers, indie developers, so they have an incentive to participate by holding the token. So I think this democratization of funding is something that blockchain and tokenization really makes possible today. So a small investor is incentivized and can invest in your technologies. So imagine you can own a piece of Google.
Year, and there are traditional funds come over to a blockchain event. Normally in the Silicon Valley, it's very packed, and they come in to say, "Oh, we are a fiat currency fund, but we are willing to invest in." We're a mixed fund, right? They're saying we're fiat and crypto. So I think it's quickly changing. For Jane talked about the benefits for the startups, but for the VCs, there's huge benefits as well at the same time, because when you invest in a blockchain company, normally the ICO cycle is like a few months, whereas like IPO like maybe a few years. And once it's IPO'd, the value of the company, the startup, is always on the market. Whereas like PE, if for 3 years before the IPO, I don't know how to value the company rather than the next round of the pre-money or post-money valuation. So, and the VCs can exit also. They can exit anytime after the ICO complete. So there is great advantage there. It's just things happening very, very fast, right? In the crypto world, people saying 1 day equal to 1 year, and I think the crypto side make the VC cycle much, much shorter, so you can invest in more deals in much shorter time and get returns and exit, and you revalue the situation much, much more flexibly. Right? So I think there are benefits from both sides.
Yeah, I think this is a changing situation, right? So we need to deal with that as VC. And I do see challenges, but also opportunities. And by the way, RBVC is maybe one of the few corporate VC who is able to invest in tokens.
Has invested.
Has invested in token. And I'm a believer that in the future, you need to have the two possibilities. So investing in token and investing in equity. And blockchain or distributed ledger, actually, it's a kind of a democratization process, meaning lowering the hurdle for many, many things. So small investors, other investors would enter the market. So this is actually a situation we as a professional in VC need to be just better. And then I think it opened up a huge opportunity for us.
But what gets forgotten all the time is when you talk about it, ICOs and all the money you can earn here is really the huge technology perspective you can get on the new visions out there. When you really look a few steps further into the next generations of the distributed ledger technologies, you will find completely new world of economization of the internet, of course, but as well as having a very, very trusted and more safe environment in the internet of things that you really urgently need to get your autonomous driving cars outside, or to be safe in a smart city or something like that. Therefore, you need a working technology. And maybe the technology is not working that good if you have investors behind it who are only interested in the money.
Exactly.
Money. Yeah? And we would be not Bosch as really values are very, very important. Yeah? If we not really want to make sure to differentiate here between technology and on the other side the venture possibilities. Yeah.
So Peter, when do you think will we see a lot more corporate engagement here? And what is the time horizon, do you think, for Bosch maybe to have a product really?
Yeah, it's starting right now. With our Automotive fraud, we will maybe have our come to market like end of this year. And we really are in a field test with large OEMs and others coming up. But as well, we see lots of other corporates entering the field here as well, leaving this POC stage and coming up with more and more real use cases. But the most interesting thing for us is we come to a new situation to talk to these corporates. It's not a classical approach of the tier one of the supplier and the OEM, for example, in the automotive space. We come here more in a level of eye-to-eye perspective because we come into a complete new field here in the Internet of Things, for example. Not only cars, and the OEMs know they're not gonna buy or sell cars anymore like in 10 or 15 years only. They do other stuff. And we already see technologies which enabling them to do new business, maybe when they have trust in another business relationship with, for example, us.
Fantastic. I think we already are about to close. The one thing I would really like to ask you before we close this is, what is the one thing that people should take away from me? I know you already said it. You can say it again if you want. But from all the people here, what should they take away from this today?
I would have one more.
All right, I will start. I believe the killer apps are coming, and scalability is a bottleneck right now for a lot of blockchains, but I believe that this will be solved in the next few years.
For me, I think it's very interesting. So last year, we debated about, as a VC, what would you invest in which type of company? And we said, okay, it's actually all white papers, right? So you invest maybe in protocol layer, and maybe sometime in the middleware layer, but application is too far away. Today, I would say the revolution is starting. So look into the application. I think the next big thing is upcoming now.
I echo the same thing you saw in my slide. I didn't say, but on the slide, the application is king. That's true for both AI and blockchain, I believe. Find the right use cases, find a large industry, find a hard problem, find a project that can solve a hard problem, a real hard problem in a large market, and has a good team to deliver that. I think that's a good recipe for either investment or for picking the right project or partners. So.
Yeah, one more maybe. I think the next big thing that we're gonna see really in the automotive area is really the Internet of Things. Internet of Things are coming into the car. And for that to happen, really, we need some kind of distributed ledger technology here to have this micropayment again, as I told you before. But however, this will completely change how we're gonna see mobility in the future. And this is really the big chance for us to maybe a little bit, we didn't talk about that already, a little bit have an alternative approach to the monopolistic platforms that we see when it comes to data, for example. Because there we have really another approach where we really distributed and really trustful and free data, for example, democratization, we had heard a lot today. On the other side, we do not want to have a future which goes more and more extremely into these GAFA worlds, what we see at the moment.
Okay, so thank you very much, Jane, Hongshuan, Dongjan, and Peter. Please give them a hand. And so, Alan, would you also want to say some final remarks? I think we can now close the session on stage for today and start asking questions to the guys and to everyone else. So just grab some snacks and drinks and start networking.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to say thank you to all of you. Thank you, our guests, and thank you all the audience in this room. And I think thank you for those one who are watching now on YouTube. If you are in China or in Singapore, good night. And if you are in the USA, enjoy the afternoon. And for us in Germany, enjoy the dinner. Today, AI meets blockchain, and we meet each other here. So enjoy the networking dinner. Thank you.
Thank you.